All right, I'm looking at the Fibble. This is the game that's just like Wordle, but on every row, one of the clues is a lie. They're starting us with reuse. It'd be interesting to do like a double E, and then so sleep would work. Sleep would work, yeah. Okay. Um, well, one of the S's is a lie, so there's definitely an E, and there's definitely not a second E. So, but this could this? Okay, so now we get to the question of, okay, so let's go back for a second. Let's say, could there be two E's, right? If this was a lie, this would be true. There would be two E's, which would make this a lie. Both the S's would then have to be true, which is not possible. So we know there's at most one E, which means this is true. Now, if this is a lie, so again, one of the S's is a lie. So these can't both be lies, right? If there's no E, then those are both lies, which doesn't work. So there has to be an E. But if this is a lie, this would have to be true, because this is true and that's a lie, right? So there's an E. It's not second or fourth. But the problem then becomes, let's say you put an E at the beginning. The green E should be gray, but the gray E should be yellow. Those would both be lies. So actually, the only possibility is that this is true. This green E has to be true. And we know there's one E and it's fourth, which means this is true and this is true. Okay. So, let's do something with an S and an L, but the L can't be second then. Something like this. And then it has to be EL, obviously. But what's that going to be? Or SEL, easel, but we can only have one E. We could do LES. That would work, but because we're not, the S here is true, we have to have an R or a U. Riles? Riles, like he riles him up? Yeah, let's go with that. Wow. Okay, well, we know there's an E. We know there's an E, so that's the lie. That's the lie. There's no S. True, lie, true, true, true. There's no L, so that's the lie. Okay, so we have the E. That's it, just the E. Just the E. New letters plus the E. Okay, let's do, I mean, there's got to be a million things we could do. Cagey. I don't know. The puzzle is being cagey with us and not telling us the truth. Okay, we know this is true. Could it be this? Bogey? Bogey, I think would work. Okay, so, well, we know the E is the lie. So the rest of these are true. The G is the lie. These are all true. So it's O and EY, homie. I don't know. Ooh, okay. Well, the H can't be the lie. And these are all, so the M has to be the lie, which means it could be M at the beginning. Money would work, actually. You won. It was money. My solve was money, apparently. All right, well, it took quite a few guesses, but I don't feel like we were ever really stuck too much either. So Riles was pretty interesting, getting all the grays after having several yellows and greens, but there you go. Let me know how your solve went today and how long it took you to find the money. And of course, be sure to subscribe for more.